Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your friend Bats. My name is Jared. There's Carl. And today we're going to be talking about Absolute Power by Mark Waid, Dan Mora, and Alejandro Sanchez. And the reason, so I did a review the other day of Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Elementary. And one of the reasons that I had started reading, or not, I was going to say rereading, but one of the reasons I decided I wanted to read it is because I was kind of working my way towards Absolute Power with reading the Chip Zdarsky Batman that leads with Failsafe, the events of Superman and the Joshua Williamson run kind of all lead to Absolute Power, and other DC books in general, such as Tom King's Wonder Woman and Tom Taylor's Titans and Joshua Williamson's was it Dark Crisis, right? So like a lot of the things that I've been reading over the last year or so have been leading up to this book, and I was very excited to finally get into this book. And as much as I did enjoy it, I had read the first 2 volumes of World's Finest. This is a brain fart for a second. And I was really excited to get into this. And I think what happened for me as a reader is that we kind of spent this much of the book leading up to it. And then once I got to it, I felt like something was off about it. And I had realized what it was really quick is that for a book that's Dan Mora and Mark Waid, unfortunately, I don't want to trash on the guy, but the Alejandro Sanchez, he's not the guy to be coloring Dan Mora. And what I've noticed is that this whole book feels very cold. And I know that's partially a part of the intention of the story, but Dan Mora is a very DC house style artist of like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but yeah, with a modern twist. And with his style, it works really, really well with Tamara Bonvillain. And Alejandro Sanchez, he kind of does this, there's a lot of grays and a lot of browns. And so that's kind of what I noticed in most, you could see there's lots of gray, lots of brown, lots of gray, and even lots of grays and browns. And even with characters' costumes who are black, they're gray and brown. Characters whose costumes are red and blue are gray and brown. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Characters' costumes who are gray and blue, or red and blue, are gray and brown. I was like, what the hell is happening here? Why is this colorist coloring this book this way? And what was really frustrating for me, I don't know if I just have a color sensitivity thing, but Dan Mora has a very cartoony style, and when there is this much coloring in flesh, or in this Wonder Woman panel, I get very distracted by it. If you saw this in person, you can see how much there's a reflection, and my camera doesn't do it justice as much as, I see this little speck of light, and I understand the coloring, she's looking up at a screen and the light source is coming down at her, so it would shade it this way. There would be a reflection of the television on her metallic uniform, but it just really, really just takes me out of it. And so the whole gray and brown in this DC event was just driving me up the wall. And it was just like, it was just way too realistic coloring for a guy who has a cartoony style. And as much as I enjoyed all the characters, the events that were happening in the DC universe, I was really taken out of the story a lot of times because of the lighting choices and color choices of the grays and browns, and it just would like really just drive me up the wall. And like, I just was not having fun. And that was kind of like the opposite of what I was looking for when it comes to Mark Waid and Dan Mora, when that's like literally like what they do in World's Finest. But it made me really, really appreciate Tamara Bonvillain's work on World's Finest, and looking forward to it in Justice League, because whatever Alejandro Sanchez was doing in this book just drove me insane. And I know I'm just rambling and repeating myself over and over again, but I don't want to just, you know, complain about his work, because he is an incredibly talented colorist. He's just not the guy for Dan Mora. And Dan Mora as an artist is absolutely incredible. I love his work. He's got so much style, and just you could just tell he loves DC in his work. And coloring. But in Mark Waid, like, the story was fantastic. Like, I could just, it was just great. The story was awesome. All the characters, everything about it. There wasn't really a lull point in the event, the DC event that is Absolute Power. I really did like it when it came to what the story was conveying and what they were doing. I just wish it wasn't colored by Alejandro Sanchez, but I do recommend it if you're a DC fan, and like, to me it's a must read if you're reading World's Finest or now Justice League. You got to get this book if you don't have it yet. But you know, maybe I also think that I'm also like color sensitive and get irritated about colors, because it just pulls me out of the book. Like, I'm fine with it on a cover, and I can really look at it on a cover, but when I'm trying to read and like move this story along in my head and like animate a story in my mind, that color thing really just pulls me out, and it makes me like focus on the art more than the story. And it's like, it's fine on a reread, but on initial read, it bugs me. So that's my thoughts. So let me know if you read it. Let me know what you think of Absolute Power in the comments down below. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching.